Hi, it's Ileana. So today I'm going to talk about the US secret space program and planetary corporations with the Mars basis is the US secret space program because Werner von Braun, he was the German scientist who had worked on the rocket program in Germany for Hitler. And then he was moved through Project Paperclip to the United States, where Werner von Braun studied UFOs, how to reverse engineer UFOs. He later became the director of NASA and showed Uri Geller a UFO that they were holding at a warehouse, and NASA was connected to that. They had a warehouse with cold storage keeping a UFO. Maybe it was from a crash site retrieval, maybe it was reverse engineered by scientists. Lockheed Martin is involved in this. They have reverse engineering program of their own and have reverse engineered UFOs. Werner von Braun is literally the father figure of the US space program, starting it up in the 1950s. He built circular space stations with artificial gravity. He showed plans of that through Disney films. Disney films openly, also in Collier's magazine, how you would build bases on the moon, underground bases on the moon, on Mars, these dome-shaped bases with electromagnetic shielding so that meteorites, comets don't hit the bases and the energy repels any material from space from hitting the bases, cloaks the bases with cloaking technology. That's how they got away with building bases on the moon and Mars. There's also lunar space operations on the moon that prepares SSP assets for training for what types of ETs they can encounter in space and what they will encounter in this secret space program, US secret space program, when they go out in space. It is military style corporate operations, planetary corporations. That is why it is called that. In its infancy stage, it did depend on the US government for funding and for resources. Now it doesn't, because it has its own foundational structure from the black budgets, original black budgets for funding. Now it doesn't require it because it has its own space fleets using anti-gravity technology that was reverse engineered on Earth by Lockheed Martin, by, you guessed it, Werner von Braun. What he did in the projects for NASA, what he did in other projects. He did reverse engineer various crafts. He built the rockets, the V5 rocket that delivered supplies to the moon to build underground bases. Look at Project Horizon. They were planning how to build these bases. They were doing projections. They said they never built a lunar base, that not enough funding, that they scrapped it, but they built it. So planetary corporations and lunar space operations comes from the US. It is the current US space program. Two programs, actually. They have their own space program. It's called Planetary Corporations, Lunar Space Corporations. Many humans have been abducted off Earth into these programs. Guess what? They pick assets with psionic abilities from the United States, from Canada, from Israel, from China, from Germany, from Australia. Those programs have their own subsets of space programs that work in joint projects and separately. on Planetary Corp. They have assets in Planetary Corp, and these assets speak different languages. And they have the Neuralink implants because those implants translate any language into whatever you can understand as your native language. Neuralink implants are to help people telepathically communicate with each other that might not have psionic abilities. Neuralink implants help you to remote control test spaceships, anti-gravity craft with crystalline technology, plasma systems, to remote control navigation systems to test out new craft. Planetary Corp does that all the time. They create new crafts for their space fleets. They're no longer dependent on the US to fund their resources. They no longer double dip into the black projects or other corporations, but they do have affiliates on Earth that are part of their corporations that do various projects for them, and they don't even know about what they're manufacturing for the US space program and shipping from Earth to the moon and Mars through secret shuttle missions, through the TR crafts, and through other shuttles. Spycraft. Why do you think there's so many triangular craft being spotted over Surrey, BC, Canada, and saucer-shaped craft that eyewitnesses have reported in official reports? Because Canada is involved with the NORAD program, and Cheyenne Mountain, think of NORAD. NORAD and Canada have been working together for a very long time because they have a joint UFO program to track UFOs, to reverse engineer UFO technology and implement it in the secret space programs. They've had a joint program all along, Canada and NORAD, tracking UFOs, studying UFOs, reverse engineering UFOs. They have tunnel systems under the Rocky Mountains interconnecting Victoria, British Columbia, NORAD, from Canada to the US. Maglev trains hovering with anti-gravity technology, transporting goods, transporting technology to the bases, underground bases. There's 4 bases under Alaska. 4 DUMBs. What do you think they're doing? Reverse engineering UFO technology from retrieved crash site retrievals of non-human origin spacecraft that they've reverse engineered and are using in their own fleets. Just like Lockheed did, just like the countries I mentioned did. It's all there. Anybody who wants to know the truth, it's all there. It's out there. You just do a little bit of research and you can connect the dots to who's doing what, where, how, and why. It's all coming out anyways. So, U.S. secret space program is part of Planetary corporations. They funded it. They brought in Wernher von Braun. He showed them the schematics. He drew up the schematics for anti-gravity circular space stations that they put out there. Cloaked space stations between Mars, Moon, and Earth. Those exist. And they're not old like the ISS. They're using new tech and upgrading it all the time. And it works. The CIA has their own space fleets. CIA has their own anti-gravity crafts. Bases have been on the moon since the 1950s, on Mars 1970s, 80s to present day. U.S. secret space program. Military corporation style programs. They have military assets, they have civilian assets as support staff. They've abducted humans and they worked with the Nordics to develop the Neuralink implants, to develop the holographic medical pods regenerative technology that can heal any diseases. That was done on Mars in the early 2000s with the help of Nordics and regenerative technology that can cure anything, but it's not being shared with humans on Earth because apparently we're not ready for that. And Planetary Corporations develops this medical regenerative technology specifically for its own infrastructures. They're not going to share it with the humans, despite what everybody's been told by certain insiders who claim to know a lot about the SSPs and the programs, but they really don't. So careful what you're listening, careful what you're connecting, because the real truth is not as sugar-coated as it seems, and what's coming and what's not coming out to the human populations. These secret programs don't want to give anything to humans other than perhaps hand-me-downs in 50 to 100 years or even 300 years from now of TR3B craft or something like that. And maybe some medical technology that can better detect cancer and cure some strains of disease through biological drug serums. You're not going to get the medical pods anytime soon. It's not within that plan of giving it out to the humans. Sorry to say it's not. That's not where any of this is going. These are dark programs who want to keep this secret to this day and hoard their technology for their own infrastructures. That's how that stuff works and has always worked. It's unethical, it's dark, and it's manipulative. But that's what they are. That's what these programs do best. Thank you so much.